So welcome again. My name is Rashid Clark. I'm the marketing specialist at the Riverwood Conservancy. Thanks so much for joining us on Zoom as well as on our Facebook Live page today for our Indigenous Plants webinar. Hope you're doing well, hope you're staying safe, and thank you again for sharing your time with us today. Our thanks as well to the Community Foundation of Mississauga for making this webinar possible. And if you've enjoyed the webinars that we've been delivering since the start of the pandemic, hope that you'll consider becoming a Riverwood Nature Hero as a monthly donor. You can learn more about supporting us monthly at theriverwoodconservancy.org/naturehero. Before we get into our discussion today, all of us at the Riverwood Conservancy would like to acknowledge that the land on which we operate is in the territory of the Mississaugas of the First Credit Nation, Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, my apologies, and the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, Wendat, and Haudenosaunee nations. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. And today, this place is still home to many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and we're grateful for the opportunity to live and work on this land. For our presenters today, we have some tobacco ties, which I would have offered to them in person, but we'll do our best to present them virtually as a way of showing our respect. So first of all, to Alan Colley, I'm offering you this tobacco for sharing your knowledge on Indigenous plants with us. For Vivian Recollet, I am offering you this tobacco for sharing your knowledge of plants and opening our presentation today. And to Tabitha Shurgold, I'm offering you this tobacco for sharing a welcome song with us as part of our presentation today. So miigwech, thank you, Alan, Vivian, and Tabitha for spending your time with us today virtually, and we're looking forward to seeing you again in person when it's safe to do so. For everyone watching, if you have questions for our presenters today, if you're in Zoom, please type them into the Q&A tab. And if you're watching us live on Facebook, just drop your questions into the comments thread. We'll get to as many of them after our presentation today. So I'll turn things over briefly to each of our presenters, just for a little introduction from themselves. And we'll start off with Alan.
All right. Ani Bojo, Chichak and Adishnakas, Maing Odem, Toronto Dunji. I'm very honored today to share the space with everybody here. We are in very interesting times, I must say. But for me, I just hope that everybody is taking, that time to go out and connect and be out there. And so, yeah, my name is Alan Colley, and I run Toronto Aboriginal Eco Tours. And so hopefully this walk, the virtual that I'm recording for everybody is, just informative, but also a way, for all of us, there's so much to connect and to get out there. And we really all are such beautiful gifts. And so I say miigwech.
Thank you, Alan. I'll turn things over to Vivian next for an introduction. I just need you to unmute yourself first, Vivian.
Yeah, I guess that would help, eh? We're joking away. Becca San Quaggin go, she can do them. We can come getting down Japan, we go Mampita around to getting in down. And Janokia, so Mr. Quaggin down. Otherwise known as Vivian Recollet, I currently work as an Indigenous health promoter. I've done, my profession has always been in nursing and taking care of the people. And I'm really honored to be able to be a part of this webinar because it speaks to something that's very, very close and healing for our people in so many ways, and reconnecting with our ancestors and reigniting those sparks of ancestral memories for ourselves so that we can learn what else we need to walk with as gifts from previous elders, knowledge keepers, teachers, even those grandfather rocks that are on the ground and stuff like that that we use for our sweat lodges are our teachers as well. So miigwech, and I will pass it on.
And Tabitha, over to you.
Ani wana bajol gishgate kwende nakaz mainga na dodem wasak singin dunji anishinaabe kwendo. My English name is Tabitha Shurgold. I am the Cultural Resource Coordinator for the Indigenous Network in Mississauga. And I want to say Gichi miigwech to Riverwood for inviting us to be a part of today's webinar.
Thanks so much, Tabitha. So we'll start things off. Vivian, if you could provide a little introductory presentation or start to the presentation, we'll turn things to you. Then we'll go to Tabitha. And Ellen has been kind enough to record some plant walks in his neck of the woods. So we'll get to those and hopefully provide a nice virtual feeling for people to feel as though they're actually walking out in nature today. So Vivian, I'll turn things over to you.
Bonjour, she can do them. So whenever we start off any kind of teaching or gathering or anything, there are certain things that we do as part of ceremony to focus on the good intention of what we're about to do today. And today we're just going to lead off with the smudging using our sacred medicine, Mushkadewash, which is sits in the western direction, also known as sage. And what we do is we bring that smoke over our head to clear our thoughts, over our eyes and ears to see and hear good things, over our mouth to speak those good, kind words, and over our hearts to remember that everything comes from there. Oh, there. So I'm going to say our welcome prayer. Asan chimi gwech kiba wasya jam na bagi gishkak wanchik na des wanchik na nak mina wanchik na mak na the mustangi na jmish ko gabi am na jin song de am chimi gwech bagi gishkak makwe gi mi jang ma se wen gi mi jang na gi mi jang wasyak mina gi mi jang ta na seven chimi gwech ge ro wa nang jaw nang ni gabi am mina gi wet no ki se ge de mishum sak no kun sak ge ajik para ma jarik mina gi aba wa bishat ni gwech ga kit ge ni kino ego enjin go ang wen na cause young bangi gi ni na we kino ma ge han ni gwech ge aba no chiak shkini jek ko ne no kmina get tesjek. So creator, in this time of the fifth moon, we always acknowledge that we have beautiful teachings for every moon there is. The fifth moon of creation is the flower moon, the Wawaskonegis is, and this is where all the plants display their spiritual sides for all the world to see, as you see all of the blossoming of the plants and everything becoming green again. And this life-giving energy is one of the most powerful healing medicines on Mother Earth. During this moon, we are encouraged to explore our spiritual essence and our connection to our first mother, the earth. A lot of times we don't think about Mother Earth being our first mother, and we want to acknowledge her in everything that we do, and we pay respect and homage to her for all of the things that she has brought to all of creation. And those plants are our first ancestors and those animals, so we acknowledge that as well as Anishinaabe people and other people to understand that relationship that we have to be quetch.
Perfect. Thank you, Vivian. And Tabitha, if we can call on you for the welcome song to continue on our presentation today.
Miigwech. So we sing the welcome song to honor the Ode, the four directions, all of our energies and spirits, but most of all our ancestors in that good way. This song was put together by members of the Mi'kmaq and Passamaquoddy nations in order to honor grandfather sun, that Mishromis, that first light in the morning. And when we honor that first light, we're giving thanks to that first light to share that light on our journeys, that warmth on our journeys. And so we as human beings can connect with each other and Mother Earth and all of the universe in that good way. And when we sing this song, before we sing the song, we start with the 4 honor beats. We start in honoring Wabnang, then Jaunang, then Epengijmuk, then Giwednang. Those 4 directions have many, many teachings for our people, and we honor and respect those teachings. Then we sing the song in 4 rounds to pay that same respect to those 4 directions and those teachings. Hey, Guando de, hey, Guando de, hey, Guando de, hey, young yo way, young yo way, hey, young yo way. Hey, Guando de, hey, Guando de, correlations. I want to share also that when we share these songs and we play on our drums, that drum represents that heartbeat, that sacred heartbeat that all of us have heard when we were first carried in our mother's womb. And so we honor that heartbeat sound. We also honor that heartbeat from the drum in connection and correlation to Mother Earth as well. So now that we have sung this song, I want to say Gachi Miigwech to all of you, Gachi Miigwech to those 4 directions, Gachi Miigwech to the 7 grandfather teachings, and Gachi Miigwech to our ancestors, first and foremost, to make sure that we are on this path in that good way, and we share our teachings and receive those teachings in that good way. So Gachi Miigwech.
Miigwech. Tabitha, thank you for that. And thank you, Vivian, as well, for your introduction as well. We'll get into some videos now that Alan has recorded. So hopefully you get a sense of actually being out in nature and going on a plant walk, which was what we initially intended to do for our presentation today. And we'll get to those videos right now. Please enjoy. And if you have, again, any questions at any point throughout the presentation, just drop them into the Q&A tab in Zoom or onto the comment thread in Facebook.
Ani, Bojo, Chichak, and Adishnakaz, Maingan Dodem, Toronto Aboriginal. And I'd like to say welcome and hello to everybody that can participate today on this virtual walk. You know, it's an interesting time we're in, and you know, as we are at this time, it's so important to be able to get out and to enjoy the relationships that we have all around us. And so in that introduction, I said my spirit name is Whooping Crane, which is Chichak, Wolf Clan, and I was born and raised here in Toronto. And so for me, you know, coming out into creation along the river, in the forests and ravines, for me has been, you know, such an experience of grounding and relationship. And so right here, I have my bundle. And so whenever I'm out and I'm talking and working with a group, I always think it's so important that we find ourselves situated in creation. And so for us as people, you know, really we say it is our gift as stewards to be able to observe and interact with the relations that are around us. And so right here on my wheel, I start with this red cloth, this red doorway. And so often some of you may have seen or recognized and familiar with what we would call the medicine wheel. You know, for me, when I grew up learning and still am learning every day, often wherever we're being taught or whoever we're being taught from comes from a different direction, sits in a different place. And so I was always taught to keep our minds open and our hearts open when it comes to learning. And so for me, everything starts in this red doorway. If you have that chance to wake up in the morning before the sunrise and to go sit out in creation just before those birds begin to sing, you'll see that that sky is filled with that beautiful red color. And is that time of new life. And so really, as well as we look at the colors, we also, I see the seasons. And so this red doorway is the springtime, which so nicely is coming here to us in Ontario here. And so, you know, with that spring is all that new life. Right now we're in flower moon. And so if you haven't, get out, go to the park or the ravines or wherever you can, even to your garden, and just go admire those flowers, those beautiful things. And so this red doorway, we say, starts with the beginning of creation. And so right here, I have a cup of water. And so water, we say, is the most powerful medicine. It is designed to give, it's designed to nurture, and it comes in all sorts of different shapes. Sometimes, you know, when we think there's that rain, that mist, that snow, that sleet, there's so many different ways that water can have its form. And so for us, that water is what connects us to life. It's what connects us to creation. And so all of us, every being, we say, came from that womb, came from that water. And so it's so important, especially right now, that we take care of our waters and that we start focusing on different ways to clean them and to help that life, because all life comes from that water. And so I have that mineral life, I've got that rock, I've got that copper, that metal. And so for both of those two things, that's the foundations. And so for wherever we are, those things have different relations to different mineral lives that are specific to that area. And so I have the fire. And so we say that with fire, it is the consumer, the first taker of life. And so fire gives to all things, and it's so important that we have that chance to continue to have a relationship with fire. And so, when we think of life and we think of things that are living, we all share that carbon footprint. We all are related to that ash. And so with that fire, we think about the sun. And how it is constantly giving, and especially to all this plant life that is around us, that they're absorbing all that nutrients, that vitamin D, and especially for us is very important, especially in this time, to help with our bodies. And so in this doorway with the fire, we also have the oxygen, the air that it breathes, the carbon monoxide it releases, just like ourselves. And inside that lighter is the gas. We also have that gas inside of us in all sorts of different ways. And so in that doorway, we see the foundations of all that mineral life that is constantly giving and allowing for the foundation of relationship. And so as we move from this red doorway, that eastern doorway, the springtime, we move on to the yellow. And so the yellow is representing in our seasons, the summertime. In our directions, it's the south. But in that next element of relationship, it's talking about the plant world. And so plants are so important to creation in talking about diversity. And so every plant in a different way grows, and it has a different relationship to the beings that are around it. And so we say that really with all plants are medicines. There's something that it is giving to us, it's giving to creation. And so when we begin to learn about that plant knowledge, all around us there is foods to eat, medicines to use, flowers to remind us of how beautiful we are. Even these trees to realize how strong and tall you can grow when you reach for the sky to making change. And so that plant life is also talking about our physical body. We say that in the forest, the rivers, the lakes, the streams, there's all sorts of that medicine for us to help heal the body. And so from that yellow doorway, we move on to the western doorway. And so this western doorway is also representing the fall time within that season. It's connecting us as well to feeling, being alive within the present. It's like listening to that blue jay as it just sends out that call to let all of creation know that it is here. And so within that animal life, we think back to the plants and we think to the minerals, and we see that each one of these beings has a very specific relationship. Whether it's the beaver, it's the paper wasp, it's the cicada, it's our northern pike, our deer, our eagles, those coyotes, those foxes, or even those shells, those abalones or clams that we would have here. And so these animals represent those relationships. And how important it is to establish the plant world and the mineral world, because each one of those plants really give to us so much importance. And so when we think about that western doorway, we begin to look at ourselves. And so we move on to the white, we move to the north. And so for us, as we say as people, we all sit within that space. And so for us, we are connected to each one of these other doorways in a very intimate relationship. And so for some of us, we're more driven to the animals, we're more driven to the plants, or even to that spirit, that mineral life of how we are constantly giving into creation. And so for us as people, we say that we have a responsibility as being stewards of how do we take care of this place? How do we have relationship to this place? And so for me, myself, growing up here in the city, within an urban area, there was a concept that nature was far away. It was out into the bush, and we all had to travel hours to get to what was natural. And for me right here, we are as close as we're ever going to be to those elements in creation. And so it's so important that we connect with the space. And so now we're going to head out on a walk, and we're going to go just through the small part of a forest and hopefully see some of those different relationships of those different beings and how they're working into existence. And so I want to hopefully we can get out, we can enjoy that, and we can appreciate those different relationships. And so I say miigwech, thank you from my heart for giving me this little bit of time that we have to share and experience. And so I hope for you and your family, you're doing well, and you are having a chance to get out and appreciate creation. I say miigwech.
And we'll continue on as Alan now makes his move outdoors, or continues his move outdoors through the rest of the plant walk. Just give me one moment to set up the rest of the video here. And we'll have Alan carry on.
As Indigenous people all across Turtle Island, it's always been a teaching to understand that as a human, we have a gift, and that is being here within that moment. And so for us as people, no matter whether it's animals, it's plants, or the minerals, in order for us to live, we have to take. And so when we take, we understand that it is a gift that we are receiving. And so here I have my tobacco, and so there's mixed teachings because the industrial tobacco industry has taken away from so much of the importance of what this plant represents. And so when we think of tobacco, or that sema, it's talking about gratitude, appreciation. And so out here in the forest or in creation, for a person, we're curious, we're excited, we want to try things. And so a lot of the times, when we're picking plants or we're walking through, we're stepping on rocks or logs and stuff, all sorts of other beings are there. And so, it's so important if you haven't and you can get the chance, we take that tobacco and we want to give thanks. We want to have that gratitude. And so just with that tobacco, we just say thank you, maybe for the breath that you get to have right now. The smile that we get to see or share with creation, but also these plants. And so we say that these plants inside that soil, they are all connected. They all share communication and a relationship with each other. And so in a good way that I'm going to be out doing a harvest, or I'm going to be out poking and pulling and looking to explore new things, I want to give that tobacco. And so you can find a rock, you can find a tree, you could find a plant, and we just let them know that we're having communication, and really most importantly, consent. Nobody here would like it if somebody just came up to you and just started poking and pulling and taking things from you, whether it was yourself, your family, or somewhere you lived. And so with that consent and communication, we just want to say thank you. And so we just want to give that tobacco, and we want to appreciate, this opportunity that we have. And so right here, I have a plant, that grows everywhere. And I'm sure if you've been out on a springtime walk, you've seen it. And so often, if you're a forager, a lot of the times, if you see these, you'll think that they're wild leeks, but they're not wild leeks. They're trout lilies, and so you can eat them. If you're ever out and you just want to have a nice light snack. And I personally, I would just find almost the smallest little leaf there, and I'll just nibble on it. And it's that refreshing kind of snack that when we're out, but as we're learning about plants, we don't want to just go and harvest anything and as much of it as we want. And so with trout lilies as well, if I eat too much, I'm gonna have to go to the washroom. And it is going to be a lot on my stomach. And so I really just want to respect that plant and let it be where it is, and also just to enjoy that opportunity. And so we'll continue on and see what else we can find. Look over here. So here we have our wild leeks, and so right away when I look at them, I can see this dark burgundy-ish purple, red, at the base of the stem there. And so wild leeks in the springtime are wonderful. Really when we see the leeks and the fiddleheads, we know that spring is sprung, and it's a really short season, just a few weeks, couple weeks. And so as being a steward, we have to realize that we can't just go out and harvest as much as we want. And so when we think back to that wheel and we think about those four doorways, the red, the yellow, the black, the white, and we think about those beings, the minerals, the plants, and the animals, they make up 3/4 of that circle. And so for us as people, we just take up 25%. And so anytime we're out harvesting, we say the max, anybody, and I mean that's only if you're in desperate need of it. If you know where there's hundreds of patches of leeks, you don't have to just go to one and harvest from one, but at a time never ever take more than 25% of what is there. And so of course when we're learning to harvest as well, we can't just harvest every plant the same way. We have to learn that each one has to be respected. And so for me myself with the leek, I don't need the bulb. Once we harvest the bulb, we kill the plant. And so for at most, and what I really enjoy doing is just taking the leaf, and what I'll do is I'll dehydrate it, I'll dry it out, and then of course crush it up and add it for a seasoning later on that I can use any time of the year. So depending on if it's a salad or you're cooking like a pesto or whatever, and that leek is so wonderful to get the chance to eat. Also, if you are a morning breakfast person and you want to put it in your omelets and stuff like that, it's wonderful. And if you get that chance to get out and find some, I just also want to share with you just to not take so much, and that it takes so long, almost 7 years for a leek to mature to begin producing a seed, and so it takes a long time. These relationships that we have can quickly be destroyed, but if we take care of it, these leeks are going to grow, and they're going to keep growing and growing. And so as I bring my children and their children, they're going to be able to get that chance to keep appreciating that gift. Cole, go. Keep going. Keep walking. Stop it.
And we'll just carry on. We've got a couple more videos from Alan. And we'll bring that next one up for us now.
So, all throughout the forest, Indigenous people have had relationships with so many different plants. And when we think about plants, they all have different purposes and different relationships that they teach us. And so right here, I have one of our nettles. And of course, if anybody's had an experience with nettle, right away, if I get my hands in there, my legs, and it brushes against me, you start to itch and you start get that irritation. And so nettle is so widely used, everything from teas to greens. There's so much value that it has. And so traditionally as well, one of the things that I was taught when using nettles is often, we get arthritis, our legs or our muscles begin to hurt and stuff like that through time. And as what I was shared is that when we touch that nettle and we brush against it, those little fibers that go into us are full of all sorts of medicine that also stimulate different parts of the body. And so nettle can be our friend in many ways, but as well teaches us as well there's times that we have to keep away and have that respect for those plants. And so all in the forest, living in an urban area or anywhere you are, there are so many different relationships and different plants that are happening. And so as you can see right here, you can see all these white flowers. And so these actually are introduced, garlic mustard. And so garlic mustard is, one of the top 3 most invasive plants that's taking over many of our parks and our ravines. And as you can see, once it's established, it's everywhere. And so if you haven't had a chance, garlic mustard is a really good green. It's really good for us. And so the leaves, they have that garlicky taste to them. So if you like making pesto or you like making salads, it's really good. You can harvest as much of it, all of it as you like. Same thing as well, the flowers, they're also really tasty. And if you like making actual mustard, then you can come back when it's gone to seed and harvest the seed. But, as stewards, what we can do to help, fight this invasive species from taking over is anytime you come out and you see a patch, take those leaves and pull those flowers. And if we can stop this plant from going to seed this year, in a couple years time, we're going to have properly stewarded that area, and we're going to have done our part to allowing. So as you can see right here, right in with the garlic mustard, is a currant bush. And so currants, all across Ontario, are such a wonderful fruit. They're so tasty, so good for us. And really, this garlic mustard is out contending eventually this garlic or this currant bush. And so all around us, there's so many wonderful plants. You know, if we just take a look and we move over, you know, not far. And so, you know, one of the things that I was also shared with, you know, when learning about plants is that often wherever there's a plant that's going to, you know, bother us, irritate us, like poison ivy or stinging nettle, there's often the antidote within, you know, just a few feet. And so as we've seen the stinging nettle over there, we have right here is our jewelweed, our touch-me-not. And so jewelweed touch-me-not is a wonderful plant. Really, it is our friend in the forest. Or if you're in the garden, you're constantly doing things. And so that jewelweed, what I can do, and so, you know, I touch that nettle, and so it, you know, could still be irritating, is I can take that leaf and I can just rub it right onto my skin. And right away it can start soothing that irritation. If it's a lot more severe, I can take those leaves, I can take that stalk. Inside is this jelly, kind of like an aloe. And you can put that and rub it on to any kind of skin irritation. So that's your ivies, your nettles, also your bee stings, red ants. I know there's red ants everywhere. Over the last, you know, several years, they've been coming more and more. And so against those red ants, but also if you're spending a lot of time in the sun, you can also use it to soothe any kind of sunburn within the skin. And so, you know, as a person, you know, learning and having this opportunity to come out, I encourage everybody to get out and to learn and to ask questions, because really, as we do that, we're going to see the health of our ravines and parks really accelerate and really take over. And so let's see what else we can see as we go on. The forest really holds so many hidden gems. You know, it always amazes me when I'm out exploring and traveling new trails and really trying to get out to find connection. It just amazes me as to, you know, all those different plants and beings we have. And so right here, you can see this beautiful patch. And if you look at that leaf, you can see that really beautiful heart shape to it. And so this here is our wild ginger that is native to Ontario. A lot of the times when people are familiar with ginger, they think about the Asian ginger that has been, you know, imported and brought over. But wild ginger grows, you know, in many different places. And wild ginger is a really special plant. Because it really talks about being a good steward and having a relationship. And so if I were to come in here and harvest from this ginger and I didn't know what I was doing, I could very quickly kill this patch. And so it takes generations and generations for this ginger to spread out and to grow. And right away when I'm looking at it and I see this heart, you know, it tells me that this medicine is going to help with our lungs, it's going to help with our heart, and so in many different ways, whether it's used in a tea or it's ground up and it's smoked, it gives us so many different medicines. And so really when I see this growing, as well as the trilliums, and I see the leeks, I know that the grounds themselves haven't been disturbed for a long time, and we really start to see that healthy ecology of all those different plants. And so whenever you see that ginger, it's a really good sign. And again, it's one of those plants that we want to respect. And unless we have a specific purpose for it, we don't want to come out and disturb it, because we really can do the damage to having it disappear.
And we have just one more video from Alan, and this will be about 10 minutes long. So again, if you have any questions for Alan or any of our presenters today, please type them into the comments thread if you are watching us on Facebook, and you can drop them into the Q&A panel if you're watching us on Zoom. So we'll get to the last video here from Alan, which again will be about 10 minutes long. Now's a good time to get your questions in. And we'll turn things back over to Alan and the rest of our presenters after this last video here.
All right, so I'd like to say miigwech for giving me this time today, just to take you out on this virtual tour of just some of the opportunities that we all can enjoy. And really, you know, from the bottom of my heart, we say thank you. You know, really, there's that chance that all of us have in so many different ways to coming out and connecting. And so the more we know, the more questions we ask, the more opportunities we get to explore, the deeper that knowledge becomes ingrained within us. And so, you know, really, I encourage everybody to get out, to enjoy, you know, really, there's so much that creation has to offer. And until next time, I say Boma Pi. That means hopefully I'll see you again, or actually get to see you one day in person. And just until then, take care, enjoy yourself, and also remember, just as people, we're always learning, we're always making mistakes. And so just to be mindful of that forgiveness, that to be human, to get out, to explore, to have experience. And so I say thank you, miigwech.
And we're back, and that was my mistake. Sorry, I didn't realize that was the shortest video. The previous ones were about 10 minutes long. So we're done with the virtual plant walk. Hope you enjoyed it. And Alan, thank you again so much for taking the time to go and record those for us. That was all of those videos recorded a little bit near the Humber River. And at the same time, a lot of the plants that Alan talked about today, they are found at Riverwood. So a lot of the native plants to this area, similar in what we have in Riverwood to what we have down by the Humber River. So Alan, thanks again for that again today. For anyone watching, please, now's a great time to ask your questions. We do have one, first of all, coming in through our Zoom webinar, directed to Alan specifically. For the garlic mustard, you spoke about that, and we have unfortunately lots of it at Riverwood as well. Does the garlic mustard flower have a use if I was to remove a whole lot of them? So I guess if you were to take many of the little flowers of the garlic mustard, is there a use for that?
You know, I definitely think you could have a use for them. You know, whether it's doing an infusion with maybe like an oil. If you have an olive oil, you could do an infusion with the flower petals. But as well as you could just dry them up and use them in garnish in salads throughout the year. But you know, as well, it is important that when removing the flower tops, that we do kind of like get rid of them completely, because if you take those flower tops and you put them in your compost, if there are any seeds in there, they will germinate and they will come back.
And earlier you talked about ginger. So is there a way to harvest wild ginger safely? A question coming in from our Facebook audience right now.
Yeah, so when harvesting wild ginger, you really have to sit down with the plant and see where it begins and the heart of it. And then you'll see as the generations kind of move out, you'll see each year's growth happening there. And so what you really want to do is you want to find the farthest runner that's away from the heart of the plant and then work your way back to that. But again, you know, with wild ginger, because it is such a powerful medicine as well, you don't want to harvest too much. You know, maybe just a few inches is what you need.
Another question from our Zoom audience today. First of all, thank you for the presentation from one of our attendees to all of our presenters today. And the question is, if we don't have tobacco to offer, if we plan to harvest a wild plant, what can I use as an offering of thanks instead?
So one of the things that I was always shared, you know, because tobacco, you know, depending on where you get it, whether it's, you know, been industrialized and have chemicals on it, you know, can be harmful when putting it down on the earth. And so we have all this beautiful hair. You know, whether it's our eyebrows, our eyelashes, if you have facial hair or the hair on your head or your body, you know, just like that hair is also absorbing that vitamin D, our DNA is interwoven within that part of us. And so if you don't have tobacco, you can pull out a hair, an eyelash, any part of yourself and leave that behind. And so what I was taught is it takes roughly 3 to 7 years for your hair to decompose into the soil. And so when you do that, you remember that those plants are absorbing all the minerals they can to grow themselves. And so if there is a patch of plants that you're harvesting and you're having that relationship to, when you put your hair down, you know, 6, 7 years later, when you come back, that relationship of that plant will actually begin to match your genetics and will actually work a lot better within your system, but as well as your children or anybody that's connected within that DNA.
Picking up on that, another question that we had was, is it okay, basically, for someone who's not Indigenous to be doing the practice of offering tobacco or offering a piece of hair? Is that seen as still respectful if it's coming from someone who's not Indigenous? Thoughts on that? And I'll throw that open to Vivian and Tabitha as well if they have any thoughts on that topic. But I'll go to you first.
You know, the way it was shared with me is if we really think about the process of where we are in a sense of reconciliation or decolonialization, is that there's a sense where somebody, you know, takes something like a tobacco offering and says, oh, this is mine, you know, this is who I am, versus understanding that as a people, we all share these teachings and we share these gifts. And so if a non-Indigenous person is going out and having that relationship to tobacco in a sense of understanding that gratitude and laying that tobacco or laying that hair in a sense that we all have to do. You know, I don't think there's enough chances that we have in our day-to-day lives to not be able to say, you know, I want to go out and give thanks. And so as well as other people, there's so many different cultural ways that people can do that. But, you know, I think from an Indigenous perspective, sharing that with somebody who's non-Indigenous is doing the healing. And so if there is, you know, something else, I pass it on to Vivian or Tabitha.
There's 4 colors on that medicine wheel, I've always been taught. And part of that is that reciprocal relationship that we share with one another, the gifts that we have in our own culture, so that we can better understand each other and have that respect of our ways or their ways and all of that. And those medicines are very powerful because they grow in those 4 directions that we've been entrusted with. A long time ago, I had an elder that said, you know, the people were given certain tasks from those directions, and you know, people that take care of the earth, people that take care of the waters, people that take care of the waters, and all of these beautiful things that are on that medicine wheel. So yeah, I think, you know, I don't think it has any restriction on who the person is, the intention is a good one. It's always about your intention and what it is that you seek.
Great way of putting it. And Tabitha, anything to add on to that?
No, actually, I just want to say that I echo what Vivian has said, because many of the teachings that Vivian is sharing, I received from her and other elders as well. So she pretty much summed it up.
And a final question, unless any more come in at this point. One last one to Alan. In terms of harvesting things safely, you did mention, you wanted to, maintain the ecosystems as much as possible. So are there any other tips for when you're engaging with plants, like how to remove plants or parts of plants safely so that you're not doing any damage to the local ecosystems?
Sorry, I just lost a bit of Wi-Fi there, but it was something you're harvesting plants.
Well, if you're like,
just the
for
last.
instance, sure. So if you're, for instance, doing the kind of plant walk that you did today, and if people are taking little bits of garlic mustard or bits of trout lilies, are there any tips on what they can do to do that safely so that they don't disturb the rest of the ecosystem from taking any plants that they may be harvesting, even in small amounts?
Yeah, I mean, it really, as we are in interesting times right now, I have noticed a lot of people on like different Facebook groups and stuff like that are wanting to get into foraging, wanting to get out, and they're just going out and they're harvesting these things and then bringing them home, taking a picture and putting online and asking questions. Is this or is this that? And I definitely, from the experience of, like, for instance, like chaga, introducing, a whole generation into, that chaga, the mushroom, is where now it's starting to disappear. It's starting to become harder and harder to find. And so when you take something, and if you're not using it and you're just taking it out of curiosity, there is that impact. And so the best is to observe. We do have wonderful, pretty much everybody has a smartphone these days that has a camera that can take a picture of the plant or wherever it is in the place that it is. And then, we can always go back. We can always go back to that place. And so there is also, a concern, about, say, if you are going to go do a garlic mustard harvest, and then what do you do with the seeds? If you bring it back into your backyard, you throw it into the local, compost or whatever, that those seeds could still be viable and could still spread. And so there is an impact, but again, unless you're asking questions and you're actually going out and going through that experience, it's what you're going to learn, and we're all going to make mistakes. And so, I wouldn't let that stop you. But at the same time, just that, that caution is that, we do have a chance with technology today to take a lot of pictures and ask questions then.
Wonderful, thank you. One last time to Alan, Vivian, and Tabitha. Miigwech, thank you for sharing your time, your insights with us today. And I'll just throw it back to all of you for any final words before we wrap up today, and I'll start with Alan.
Yeah, I'd like to say, which thank you everybody for having this chance, and as we are at a time, I really encourage everybody to talk to your family, talk to your parents, your children, your grandparents, if you have that chance, and look at how we make those connections. Look at what knowledge and what experience you have as a person, and see that as a gift to share. And so as we move forward in the times that we are, I think when we reflect back on our heart, all of us, we're going through this experience. And so if we can just be patient and love ourselves and love each other, that we can just continue to have good experiences. And so I encourage everybody, get out, take your shoes off next time you're in a park, ground yourself. We wear shoes constantly 24/7, and there's so much just getting out, taking your shoes off.
Look, All right, Alan, thank you for that. Vivian, any final words from you before we wrap up for today?
Well, I want to say Kichimi Wetch to Riverwood, and I want to mostly thank Mother Earth, because she's the one that enables us to be able to bring these forward to the people. And it's always, whenever I do the teachings, I always have to remember our first relatives, those plants, those animals, those waters, and our first mother, the earth, and all the teachings that we come from her. And all the teachings that we seek are there in everything that she gives to us. So in this time of COVID, we need to be able to respect her and listen to her and see what it is that is happening with her, so that we can right some of these things that we've been doing wrong as a human species, and pay careful attention of moving forward in time, and not to carry fear with us all the time, because everything is so fear-based these days, when Mother Earth is out there giving us signals to say, okay, you need to stop what you're doing and pay attention. Pay attention. Just like, when the sun rises, you give your offering of gratitude, and you have that attitude all day long to everything that you encounter in a positive way. So yeah, Kichimi Wetch.
And Tabitha, to you.
I too would like to say Kichimi Wetch to you, Riverwood, and the other panelists today. It is always great to hear teachings from different nations and perspectives. I did want to add and share that one of the teachings I received in terms of foraging and harvesting on Mother Earth was that we have to be mindful of how much we take, as Alan was mentioning. And a good way to do that is to actually, when you're harvesting, take that minimal amount from that one area, then move on to another area of the forest. Because if we take everything from that one area of the forest, whatever it was meant to do in that area, it doesn't serve that purpose anymore. So we have to be mindful of that. Another thing I want to mention, as part of the teachings that I received, is when we do go and make that harvest, yes, we offer that sema, but we also are putting our intentions and ask that plant, the spirit of that plant, for permission to take it so that we can use it in whatever way we need to use it, whether it's to heal us, whether it's to feed us. We make sure we articulate that to that spiritual being of that plant, just as we would as hunters would in offering that tobacco to that animal. We would do the same thing to these plant life, because they are spiritual beings as well. And so I wanted to share that as well, because I think that we have to make sure that we pay attention to all of these life beings on Mother Earth's back as spiritual beings, just as we are as human beings. We want to be mindful of that and pay respect and honor that. So Gichi Miigwech to all of you today. Gichi Miigwech to the 4 directions and the 7 grandfather teachings.
Miigwech again, Tabitha, Vivian, Alan, for your time and your knowledge today. And Miigwech, thank you to the Community Foundation of Mississauga for making today's webinar possible. A reminder that we do have more webinars coming up later on this month, and our next one takes place tomorrow evening at 6. It is Nature Connections, Diverse Communities and Their Relationship to Nature, another interesting topic. So we hope you'll join us again for that. Learn more about our events and register for them at our website, theriverwoodconservancy.org. So once again, to everyone today, Miigwech, thank you for joining us. Stay safe, and we hope to see you again soon. Take care.